we're going to talk about today is Brett Cooper leaving the Daily Wire. So as you guys know, when women leave industries, we just have a tendency to never be able to leave without drama. Now, men, when they get fired, they have a tendency, remember, not all, but they do have a tendency to leave and call it quits and just take the L when they get fired or when there's a disagreement at work. But it just seems like in conservative media, we just have a tendency to make it a spectacle. We saw Candace Owens get fired from the Daily Wire, and she made it a whole entire show, completely dramatic. And you guys know that there is incentives to do these type of things. There is incentive to bring these, contractual disagreements public and just make a spectacle out of it. That is one of the downsides of dealing with, the influencer type. Now, initially, when Brett Cooper was let go or she left, I think that was her official stance. She did leave. I was really proud of her because she didn't make it a spectacle. Now, there was a video talking about how that's going to go over the details of Brett Cooper leaving. So we're going to go through that now.
Back to the comment section. I am producer Reagan, filling in again for Miss Brett Cooper, but don't worry, she will be back on Monday. And don't worry, Brett will be back on Monday. And don't worry, Brett will be back on Monday.
Today, December 10th, will be my last day hosting the comment section and working for the Daily Wire.
Well, the rumors were true, and just after a month of denying it, Brett Cooper announces she is leaving the Daily Wire. There's a lot to unpack here, from this inorganic scripted statement from Brett, the confirmation of rumors about why she's leaving, and if I think the Daily Wire is officially doomed, as within a year, they've lost not one, but two of their top talents, as Candace Owens' departure was just 8.
Now, I'd like to say, ladies, this is terrible marketing for hiring us. When Candace Owens makes this a spectacle when she leaves, do you know what they're going to think about the next time when they hire another woman? I don't know if I want that risk. Same thing with Brett here. She hasn't really gone off the rails, but there's still a little bit of stuff that I just would have, I don't want to say preferred not to see. I get something to talk about on my show, right? There's no downside for me, but it's not great marketing for us. We're going to get to it.
Months ago. But as for the rumors, I'm thinking they're true.
And it's not just that the Daily Wire is pushing out Brett Cooper. It's actually that Brett Cooper is under one of these contracts that has her basically tied to secrecy and silence under NDA and can't say anything about it while they spin whatever narrative they want about it. They are promoting her best friend who was her maid of honor at her wedding. They allegedly gave her acting classes to help her imitate Brett's mannerisms. No. And when I was talking to a girl with the family I was staying with before, she's like an 18-year-old chick that loves Brett Cooper. She's a total super fan. And she was like, yeah, the Reagan episodes are kind of weird.
Welcome back to the comment section. So obviously, I talk car brand into a whole new stratosphere of woke confusion. I'm concerned about feminism. I'm concerned about the growing gender divide. But before we get into today's episode, make sure you like this video. Before we dive into this episode, though, make sure that you like this video if you have not already. If you've not already.
As I understand, two best friends are going to have similar mannerisms, but you can't convince me this isn't done
That's pretty weird. Look at that.
entirely on purpose, as this just looks like when two people pick the same character in Street Fighter, where they have all the same moves with a different color scheme. And at one point in time, it worked. Ian hosted the comment section a month ago. It was received incredibly well, stating Reagan was a natural. They wanted to see an episode that featured them together, speculating she will be a stand-in for when Brett gets pregnant. But looking back on those top comments, I honestly wonder if those weren't planted by the Daily Wire themselves, to try to astroturf a narrative of Reagan is just as good as Brett. Us fans should have loyalty to the brand. But unlike sports teams that have star players come and go, I don't think people see the Daily Wire like the Dodgers or the Celtics. I think YouTube stars are more seen like musicians on a record label. Sure, the production team can swap out a singer and make an identical song, which is exactly what the Daily Wire is doing here, but the fans develop these parasocial relationships with the individual, not the platform from which they discovered that.
Now, this is the challenge you get in media. So the company spends millions of dollars making her famous, right? I'm one of the few, I don't mean to flex, right? But I'm going to flex. I'm one of the few, I had no company behind me, right? And I know firsthand, it's so much easier when you have a company, booking guests for you, getting huge collabs that has all of this editing experience. So you don't have to figure it out on your own, not having to learn. Like when I first started, I didn't know any of the equipment and I don't know it now, but I knew the early stuff, right? So the challenge is, though, when you build these people up, they now have clout and they now have way more power than like a normal employee that you would train. So, if you owned a company and you spent 3 years training an employee, sure, they have more bargaining power, but they don't have star power. So that's something that's unique in the media industry is talent is always aware of the leverage that they have, which Candace Owens used, right? She could have left the Daily Wire and just made it a quiet thing, not made it super dramatic, just left. She made it a huge dramatic spiel. It was entertaining, right? I mean, as someone that enjoys entertainment, I'm like, I'm enjoying this, but it doesn't look the best long term for hiring us as women, right?
That person. As the fans began to notice Reagan replacing Brett more frequently, so recently whenever Reagan recorded an episode for the comment section, their comment section started to sour on Brett's absence, saying they only watch the show and the Daily Wire because of Brett Cooper, and if she leaves the Daily Wire, so will their money. And when Brett recorded her final episode, officially announcing her departure, people stated they were only watching for Brett, not the show itself. They'll follow her in whatever she does next, even a farming channel, as this is like the Joe Rogan podcast without Joe Rogan. Because many people don't 100% believe this seemingly scripted statement.
It is not true that I am being forced out. It was my own choice to leave. And believe me, this is bittersweet. I have had the most unbelievable 3 years helping to craft the show, building this community, and telling stories and sharing the truth every day. And I'm grateful that the Daily Wire gave us a platform to grow this community. But at this point in my life, I am ready to take on a new direction, both personally and professionally.
Which was followed with an HR-sounding statement from the CEO.
We're sad to see Brett go, but we're excited to see her take the next step in her journey. Brett's an amazing talent, both as a personality and as an actress. It's been a pleasure to see her bring the comment section to life these last 3 years, and her performance in the Pendragon cycle is sensational, and we wish her nothing but the best.
And I imagine every word of those statements were pre-scripted and lawyer-approved, as it really comes down to who had the final cut of this clip. Because even if Brett wrote it herself, she recorded it knowing nothing other than the narrative the Daily Wire wanted was going to get posted on the channel the Daily Wire owns. Which sadly was something Steven Crowder had discussed back in the beginning of 2023.
Kids out there, coming up, we need to build a bench here in this movement. It's almost impossible. Don't sign these contracts. Effectively, full ownership of all your social media platforms, channels in perpetuity.
Now, I actually know a couple people behind the scenes, right? And I know someone that was going to potentially be cast in Brett Cooper's role, right? So she was essentially going to be in her position. And Crowder, the way he views these contracts is predatory, right? Because they keep your channel forever. So she built up that channel and now they will get to keep it and give it to her friend Reagan. I think it's a bad strategy because I don't think the audience will necessarily move. We'll see. Maybe she'll do okay. I don't know. The second thing is I don't think that's predatory because the woman that was going to be in Brett Cooper's place, I mean, she's sitting streaming out of her room. She's not a mega superstar. So Brett's in a way better place. She's really famous. She could start her new channel and blow past anybody that never took that initial contract.
The rights to your content, name, image, likeness. Frankly, it's worse than Disney. It's worse than ABC. It's worse than NBC. It's worse than CBS. This is ownership of you and everything that you do.
Young talent, they don't get deals like this.
So they don't get deals that...
They can be wage slaves for a little bit, come over and make a salary and grow their brand.
That you then own.
Well, I own parts of it. I don't own it. They can, when their contract's up, they can still go out and they'll still be famous. They can keep doing their shows, so go do a show somewhere else. They'll be in a far, far, far better place. You helped make them.
No, not only this contract. This contract owns it in perpetuity even after the contract. You're paying a lease but getting ownership. That's what this contract is.
On the content that we paid to produce, yes.
Now, a lot of people were...
Now, Crowder thought that was unfair. I didn't view that as unfair because the benefits you get from working with a company that big, I mean, just to get your name out there, I just see the difference in the two channels of the woman that almost got that job and the woman that got it. And even though Brett's starting from zero, she's still getting 200,000 followers with no videos on the new channel.
Outraged to hear him say wage slaves, but I somewhat understand what he's saying here, as I used that record label analogy earlier, because I truly believe social media influencers are the rock stars of Gen Z. As kids no longer want to be musicians and professional athletes, they want to be TikTokers, Twitch streamers, or YouTubers. So just like how record labels would sign unknown singers into predatory contracts to take the lion's share of the revenue, before home studios and social media, musicians needed the infrastructure of a record label to attain stardom, which was basically the same thing the Daily Wire did for Brett Cooper, as she is a superstar right now, but how quickly do people forget that she was essentially an industry plant? It isn't necessarily a negative thing, but unlike most YouTubers starting off in their studio apartments with 480p webcams talking into a headphone mic, Brett started her channel doing collaborations with huge YouTubers, with hundreds of thousands of dollars of professional video production, and most importantly, mentorship from people at the top of her niche. So even if you believe the Daily Wire is the villain in this scenario, if you love Brett Cooper, you should still somewhat be appreciative for platforming her in the first place. Because even if the Daily Wire sinks, Brett Cooper is the Justin Timberlake, as the comment section has already deleted "with Brett Cooper" and replaced her with nothing. It appears the channel is starting to lose subscribers by the tens of thousands, while Brett Cooper's new YouTube has over 100,000 subscribers before even uploading a single video, which is especially significant as the channel that she's leaving has every single video receiving well over 300,000 video views. Compared to the Daily Wire star Ben Shapiro, despite his over 7 million subscribers, sometimes struggles to get even over 50,000 views, which should be alarming, as this one-man bootleg operation at Decoy Voice is closer to Brett's numbers than Ben's, and that's me doing videos about squirrels.
The thing is, subscribers don't mean as much anymore because you can get them through shorts. And that's just a different metric. So just because people are watching your shorts, it doesn't mean they're watching your long form.
But if you look at the Daily Wire's other personality that left the network, Candace Owens looks like she's at the top of the niche, regularly receiving over 1 million views per video.
Now, you know what's interesting about Candace? So I've heard mixed things about what people think her career is going to be. I don't want to say names, but I've heard this from two people that I would deem really credible. One has the opinion that her career is taking off. One has the opinion that nobody will take her seriously anymore because she's alienated her audience too much. I don't have an opinion on it, but the Palestine, Israel, there's a secret group running the government. I don't have an opinion. I don't know much about that topic, but I've heard that in the long term, that's going to be a net negative for her. I don't know. I can't really say yet.
With her live stream seeing identical, if not better viewership, which I think Brett Cooper will see similar success on her solo channel, as even though the Daily Wire controlled Cooper's career during peak election season, likely raking in millions of dollars from ad revenue and brand deals, in the long run, Brett won, as I think most people would rather be in Brett's position than Reagan or even Ben. So if you appreciate my one-man operation that provides concise,
I'm going to give the video a like. So then I saw this report on Twitter. Now we got Brett Cooper. It says Brett Cooper has unfollowed the Daily Wire, Jeremy Boring, and her former producer Reagan on Instagram. It was reported that she was fired following a disagreement with the Daily Wire CEO Jeremy Boring, despite the company's denial of any bad blood. She continues to follow Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, and Michael Knowles. My opinion on this is, as much as I like Brett, she knows exactly what she's doing. There is no way that she does not know that people are going to be speculating now. And if she didn't want the drama from this, she wouldn't have unfollowed. She wouldn't have deleted pictures. It seems like small stuff maybe to the outside, but you know how media works. And I really don't recommend making this a big spectacle because people will not want to hire you in the future. I really wish less women would do that. I understand the want to, right? I'd be pretty pissed too if my friend took my job, right? I could totally see that. But if I were her, I just wouldn't have played into this at all. It'll be interesting to see what she does next. Some people think she's gonna, get married and go off the internet. I think there's a snowball's chance in hell. Would you? No. I want to check out the latest YouTube from her. I want to see the comment section with the latest. Okay, so it looks like the last video got 100,000 views. Did she go live? I really think that they should go live. If I was the Daily Wire, I would go live with Reagan. And the reason I would go live is because right now, everyone views her as scripted. She's trying to copy Brett. She has to make the audience trust her. And I don't think you're gonna get that with pre-record. I would switch to live for a little bit, or at least a couple shows, because I think you're gonna gain the trust of your audience. Okay, so I wanna see the comments here. I came straight to the comments section. Brett Cooper disappears and drones appear. Coincidence? This channel is now living up to its name. Great job, bestie. Came straight to the comment section. Be yourself. Don't be Brett. 1 like, 1 prayer for Brett. Did they just Joe Biden Brett and give us Kamala? That's funny. Brett literally unfollowed this girl on Instagram, but she still wants to pretend like they treated Brett fairly. Yeah, Brett, she's young, so I've posted dumber things online than unfollowing someone that screwed me over, but long term, I really would recommend staying away from that. It's nice in the moment, right? Everyone's going to view her as a victim. There's power in victimhood. The drama is going to help bring up her channel. But, people will be more skeptical the more you play into this. Lucky for you, most people are going to give you the benefit of the doubt because you're a woman. So it's not too bad. But I wouldn't go, if you're watching this, I wouldn't go full Candace arc. I wouldn't. Bad idea. Okay, like the video, subscribe, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. See ya.